This is my fourth and final internship report. For my internship at the Elkridge Furnace Inn, supervised by Janelle Balin for the spring 2019 term. The Elkridge Furnace Inn, the original building, was built in 1744 and is a very storied past as it was part of the Civil War Trail. It is part of the Patapsco State Park and was part of the Underground Railroad. Chef and owner Dan Wecker began restoration of the property in 1988, ending in the building housing on-site catering in 1991, and finally in 1994, the restaurant itself opened to the public. The cuisine is French-inspired with an emphasis on seasonal menu changes featuring fresh produce from the gardens. The location features on-site catering, specializing in weddings, corporate events, and cooking classes. Inside the building, there are three main sections. There's the line, which is our saute station, grill station, expediter station, and then cold side. Next, there's the storage area, which is where we keep our dry storage, where we keep our display bases, and is the hallway connecting the front of the kitchen to the back being prep and pastry, which is where events are prepared and where baking and pastry work is done. For my internship, I worked in the pastry department, where all the bread and pastries were made. Some notable facilities included two 22-quart mixers, as well as two regular KitchenAid 8-quart mixers. There were 3 benches on which to work, 2 fridges plus 3 low boys underneath one of the benches, and 2 convection ovens. During the internship, my main duties were to assist Janelle and Amanda with whatever they were preparing. Most of the planning was determined by Janelle and Amanda. Most of what I did was help them with what they needed to get done during that day. A lot of it was ice cream production, occasionally decorating cakes, most of the time doing crumb coating, and a lot of it was prep for cold side for dinner service, which included assorted tarts, cheesecakes, torts, and other special desserts. During my time at the internship, there were a great deal of lessons I learned, most of which were not about literal technique, however. There was time management. It's very difficult to simulate the urgency of needing pastries for brunch 5 minutes ago while having a chef breathing down your neck. There's a much different outlook on tasks when you know that it's someone's money you're playing with and not part of the tuition. And of course, there's always a chance of being fired. Efficiency was a major thing. Once you know where everything is, and once you had everything that you needed ready to go before starting a project, you could cut your production time in half instead of floundering about trying to get different materials that you would need. And communication was very important. It was very important to be short, sweet, and to the point with everything that you said. Continuing on efficiency, what I would change, there are a few aspects of my internship that I wish were slightly different. In terms of production volume, there were periods of downtime and waiting where I would wait for Janelle or Amanda to give me further instruction just because there wasn't anything to do. I love decorating cakes. I wish I could have done that more often, but the time period for my internship just did not allow it. Speaking of time window, I really didn't want the internship to end. It was a very fun experience. It was a different perspective from the hot cooking side of the kitchen. I also wish I had more hours, which is similar reasoning to the previous change. And going back to the time window of the internship, I wish it started and ended just a bit later in the year, because right as I was ending the internship is when wedding season is really starting to kick off, where they're having to decorate many more wedding cakes, sometimes 2 or 3 at once. We would have had a higher production, and it would have better simulated, at least in my opinion, the true work environment of the pastry area. Some skills from HTC that I used during the internship. I've organized these from simplest to most complex. Simplest, of course, being small things like knowing how to use a scale, chef knife, stand mixer, bench scraper, and spatula. More complicated things were proper folding technique. An example being chocolate mousse. We had to make that quite often. Knowledge of prior recipes. A lot of the time, we needed creme anglaise for many different things. Proper thermometer usage, and just the concept of mise en place. More abstract things included setting timelines, so starting with your final deadline and planning backwards based on how long different things needed. The ability to make paper cones. There's production of mousses, cake boards, as well as cake decorating. And then here is a photo gallery. The internship was a blast. I hope to have the opportunity to work further in the pastry department with them. And I'm glad that Alright.